Hello everyone, myself Dr. Shutapa Datta, Assistant Professor of Zoology from Bethune College, Kolkata. Today I am going to discuss on carbon footprint reverse osmosis under the subject environment and sustainability, and I am going to discuss on this topic under the platform of International FDP on Environment and Sustainability. These are the two links of my previous week 1 and week 2 videos. In my previous week 1 video, I have described on the impact of low carbon lifestyle on environment, what are the different strategies that can be taken for a better lifestyle, and how low carbon lifestyle will affect environment and sustainability. In my week 2 video, I have briefly described on importance of water cycle, alterations of water cycle, and what are the different strategies that can be taken for conservation of water. In the present video, the learning outcomes are: students will understand the importance of pre-treatment, compare different desalination strategies, modify strategies for the less fouling of membrane. These are the several standards used for water parameter check. ISO 14046. It is used for environment management. Several principles, requirements and guidelines are designed to help organizations estimate the potential impact of their water usage, thereby facilitating ways to improve efficiency and reduce overall consumption. ISO 24510 provides the guidelines for the assessment and for the improvement of the service to users. ISO 24511 provides the guidelines for the management of wastewater utilities and for the assessment of wastewater services. ISO 24512 provides the guidelines for the management of drinking water utilities and for the assessment of drinking water services. ISO 24518 provides general guidance for the development and implementation of a crisis management system for water utilities. Global water resource contributes to maximum portion is marine water, which comes from oceans, seas and some lakes. 97.5% is from marine source, 2.5% is from fresh water. Fresh water is either groundwater contributing to 30%, or it present in the form of ice or snow covering the mountains, Arctic and Antarctic, accounting for 70%. Only 0.3% is usable by man. So to mitigate the scarcity of fresh water, there is a need for a technology which can better supply fresh water. The technology I am discussing here is desalination technology, which provides the means to mitigate this limited amount of usable water. There are 4 categories or groups of desalination technology. The first one is thermally activated system, which involves evaporation and condensation methods for salt separation from water, like distillation units, solar distillation, multi-stage flash distillation, multiple effect flash distillation, and likewise. Pressure activated system, it involves pressure by which salt passes through the membrane, water is passes through the membrane, leaving the salt behind the membrane, such that water gets desalinated. It includes several methods like reverse osmosis, forward osmosis, electrodialysis and nanofiltration. Chemical activated system, it includes ion exchange, desalination, liquid extraction, gas hydrate. Another technology is adsorption technology, where silica is used to absorb water. Now, carbon footprint with respect to water treatment plant. As greenhouse gas emissions contribute to global warming increase, it is becoming more important to consider the carbon footprints of engineering projects like water resource projects. Carbon releases occur when water is extracted and transported to industrial, agricultural, and residential areas for use, which consumes energy and materials. For different water extracting and transporting processes, the carbon footprints can be very different. Now come to the point, reverse osmosis technology. Today, reverse osmosis technology is one of the most widely used water purification processes in the world, starting from its commercialization from 60s and 70s. There are several drawbacks of this RO technology. It's having a high impact on the environment with respect to carbon footprint. The carbon footprint for seawater of RO desalination is between 0.4 to 6.7 kg carbon dioxide equivalent per cubic meter of water. That means desalinating 1000 cubic meters of water can contribute to as much as 6.7 ton of carbon dioxide emission. Desalinating 1000 cubic meters of water per day consumes the rough equivalent of 10,000 tons of oils per year. To reduce this environmental footprint of RO membranes, a robust membrane-based pre-treatment system is very much effective, causing less frequent fouling and higher fluxes, thus reducing RO footprint, and less energy is needed per cubic meter of water produced. So there is an urgent need of pre-treatment. Among several others pre-treatment methodologies, ultrafiltration membrane pre-treatment technology is the best of all. Due to its small pore size and sharp rejection profile, ultrafiltration produces a good permeate. As ultrafiltration pre-treatment leads to foulants-free clean permeate, it enhances the filtration capacity of RO membrane surface to be operated at up to 20% higher flux, thus reducing its footprint. It results in material cost savings. Lower chemical dosing for UF pretreatment due to the high quality fed water from the UF reduces chemical costs as well as the amount of chemicals being discharged into our environment. With a lower incidence of fouling, the lifespan of the RO membranes can be extended, thereby reducing RO replacement costs and carbon footprint. So these are the parameters to concern for RO technology. First, the quality of salty water to be desalinated must be taken care. Next, salinity level after desalination must be assessed. What are the different chemicals required for pre-treatment need to be noted. Then, environmental impact assessment must be done, and energy input and cost effectiveness for this technology need to be calculated prior to implementation. And these are the sources from which I have taken the information for my video. Let's hope for a better tomorrow. Thank you.